Right, Mr. Clark, I think some more poetry. We're all in here. We weren't just as sober as we've been, and I can't mind the house in Rose Street anyways, the Abbotsford, or Daddy Milnes, we were standing at the bar. Now that was Sidney Goodser-Smith, and I'm sure you'd like to talk about him.
Yeah, Sidney Goodser-Smith, he was a really big part in the Scottish literary renaissance.
Now to bring you up to date, in 1907, a young John Buchan edited the Scottish Review, a magazine which aimed to deal fully with all interests, literal, political, social, with something Scottish in the point of view.
It sounds great, but that magazine folded quite quickly actually.
Yes, but it marked the way for a man named Christopher Murray Grieve. Now he first used the name Hugh MacDiarmid when experimenting with Broad Scots poetry, and the name stuck.
Hugh MacDiarmid, he was also a really big part in the Scottish literary renaissance. He was really big in trying to move Scotland away from imitating English styles and English language towards a kind of Scottish-centricness in his writing.
Like Walter Scott.
No, nothing like Walter Scott. You know what Edwin Muir said about Scottish writing?
What?
He said that when a nation loses its identity, it creates a myth to replace it.
He brought history to life.
History, come on. What he wrote about history, and a drunk man looks at the thistle. And all the names in history may knock to most folk, but ideas are their aim. The very opposite, anything that did around, can come back again.
Well, Burns then.
Burns, come on. You know, he admired Burns, not the whole, Burns supper culture, all that malarkey. What he wrote about Burns was this. Nay, 1 in 50 is a word that Burns wrote, but misapplied is anybody's property. Rabbi, wouldst thou were here the world hath need, and the whiskey that once moved your layers has become a laxative for all loquacity. That's got you, yeah?
I've got a clue what you're talking about.
Okay, I don't think anyone does actually. Well, I'll simplify it. What Hugh MacDiarmid was saying, it was for Scotland to have its own identity. As a nation that produces literature, it needed to have its own language. Now, up until then, people had always thought of Scots as a slang, a dialect of English. He wanted to prove, though, that Scots was in fact a language unto its own. Now, to do this, he took part in a debate at Oxford University. He read out one of his poems, first in an English translation, and then later in the original Scots, basically to weigh them up and show that the Scots was in fact better. I'm going to try and restage this argument for you today. I'm going to roll your help as well, actually.
Very well.
I don't suppose you know the poem "The Bonnie Brooked Bairn."
I do.
Wonderful. Would you be so kind as to do an English translation for us?
Oh, very well. And there it is right up there as well, by the way, if anybody wants to look at it later. Hugh MacDiarmid, who looks just like Einstein. And behind you guys is the drunk man looks at the thistle. So, Bonnie Brooked Bairn, pretty dirt street child. Mars is nice and crimson, Venus in a green silk gown. The old moon shakes her golden feathers, their starry talks, a lot of nonsense. None for you a little thought sparing earth, you pretty dirt street child. But cry, and in your tears you'll drown the whole rabble.
Wonderful, wonderful. I almost feel it's not necessary to do the original Scots, but I will. Mars looks broad and cramacy, Venus in a green silk gown. The old moon shakes her golden feathers, their starry talks are ween of weathers. Nane for thee I thought they spare in earth, thou bonny brooked bairn. But great, and in their tears they'll drown the hale clan jam fruit. Now, with this, I think you can see that the Scots is in fact better in this my round, is it not?
Oh, if you're around, I'll have a whiskey.
Right, come on, you've had enough, right? But honestly, here we are in this pub where all these great men would come, meet,
You
work,
know something,
and
Mr. That's another thing. You've chatted throughout history. You mentioned all these great literary figures, but what women have you mentioned? Other than as wives, lovers, and, well, you know what.
the prostitutes.
I mean, have they not made a contribution? This is why I was so against the idea of this tour in the first place. Not because I'm a prude, I'm not. But all these clubs and societies, they were men only, and they excluded women. And you cannot get away with that, Mr. Clark. Not in this day and age. And definitely not in tonight's company either. You should mention Muriel Sparkle and the prime of Miss Jean Brodie, which was the more intellectual side of the argument, of course.
It would.
But of course it does. The prime of Miss Jean Brodie won the finest Scottish novels. And Muriel Spark? Well, she saw this duality that we've been talking about. I mean, doesn't her novel touch on the gulf in the city between the wealth and the poor and unemployed? What of Jean Brodie herself, descended in a fictional sense from Deacon Brodie, a woman torn between a repressed upbringing and a truly romantic nature? Yes, one of the finest Scottish novels.
I thought MacDiarmid said that The Judge was the best of the Scottish novels. Yes.
And who was that by?
Oh, that was
Rebecca